Hello everyone, it's me again. I'm here with another video. Today's will be me predicting Five Nights at Freddy's 3, or the FNAF 3 movie. Here are some things that I could see happening. This is gonna be the end of the trilogy, so what could they do? Honestly, based on what the second film is setting up, I feel like Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is gonna adapt the third game, but here's what I would suggest. I think the third game is gonna be the main plot, and the animatronics are gonna become like the Phantom animatronics. I don't know how, but they will. They sure will. And Matthew Lillard has teased that he's ready to kill Mike Schmidt, so that means Springtrap will return, or Willie Matthew will return this time as Springtrap to bring it all full circle. It ends the way it began with Afton. I personally believe this will be the end of the Schmidt Afton storyline. And he has even teased that Mike and William will have a Darth Vader versus Luke Skywalker style fight, which is actually interesting. I didn't think of it like that, but I think it's interesting. I personally feel like they can take elements from later games, like given the references to such a location, I do believe Circus Baby may come to life. They could very well do that. They might take elements from Five Nights at Freddy's 4, like maybe this could be a way to bring in Nightmare at last. And part of me could actually picture Troy Baker as Nightmare. Like, just picture Troy using his voice of Captain Grime from Amphibia, but obviously more distorted. Or maybe have him sound like Scarecrow from Batman Arkham Knight. That could fit Nightmare perfectly. But if Nightmare isn't in it, maybe you could see Nightmare Fredbear. Like maybe Michael Afton builds another Golden Freddy, but this time it's more so a different one. It's Fredbear. Maybe he doesn't become Nightmare Fredbear yet. And given that the movie ended with, the marionette now possessing Vanessa, I think they might take elements from Security Breach, like maybe Sun, Moon, and Eclipse could very well appear. Maybe even Gator and Roxanne Wolf. And this could be a way to introduce Gregory, the main protagonist of Security Breach, into the movie verse. And I could picture Vanessa becoming Vanny. But given her relationship with Pipe Abby, I doubt she would become a child murderer like her father. And basically, the mid-credit scene was a message from Henry, Emily, Charlotte's father. I think the movie might begin with Charlotte killing her father. I could be wrong, but it's possible Charlotte may have killed her father. Or just attacked him and left him emotionally scarred. But I think the Afton and Schmidt storyline will reach its end. Why do I say this? Here's what I believe. Since FNAF 2 introduced Michael Afton, I had an idea of a two Mike showdown. Since Michael is more of a William Jr., loyal to his father and helping him carry out his plans, than how he was in the games. In the games, he was a more heroic character, but the movies make him a more villainous character given Mike Schmidt. And that if Michael were to, or at least Mike were to appear, he'd have to be his own character. And since the first movie, William taunted Mike about symmetry, killing Garrett, Mike's younger brother, and then Mike next, this is where it would come full circle. Why do I say this? I believe William's son will kill him. I believe Michael will kill his father in the third movie. And it would be like poetic justice. Michael being the one to end it. I think Michael and William and maybe even the possessed Vanessa will team up, but there will be the betrayal during the climax. Like, Charlotte is now separated from Vanessa, and Vanessa's unconscious. And basically, Michael realizes that maybe William is either using him or Michael has this desire to become more than his father. His own person separate from his father. Become a person that's nothing like his father. A killing that is nothing like his father. Or a killer that's nothing like his father, more accurately. And of course, he kills his father by letting him die in the fire during the end, since the pizzeria was burned down in the third game. And Michael could die as well. And Vanessa's the survivor of the Afton family. Or, because this is a more villainous version of Michael from the games, here's a way to further solidify this. It's a passing of the torch kind of thing. And it fits perfectly with the devil on the shoulder role Michael had in the second movie. I think Michael will take matters into his own hands, using his gun since he was a security guard, and even taking his father's knife, creating the symmetry William is obsessed with, and he kills his father. Like, I think he would shoot his father, injuring his father, and then he would stab his father in the heart, ending his father's life once and for all. He's becomes arguably a more dangerous villain than his father because he's younger, faster, nothing left to lose. And what happens next? He, of course, becomes the purple guy we know from the games. And, of course, after killing his father, he would take the Springtrap mask or the Yellow Rabbit mask, however you want to call it, and of course, he could be captured, but he has it with him. He has the mask with him. And I'll go more into this. Before, how would he kill his father and why? I already talked about the how and the why, but I'm going to go expand on the why. Do you remember Elizabeth Afton from the Silver Eyes novels? Yes, she was William's daughter in the novels that William was abusive to. And I think they can incorporate Michael's backstory in the third movie. And it will add a layer of psychological realism that the movies have been leaning into, making the horror more about than just the animatronics, but a broken family. Basically, I think William may have been abusive to his son Michael, hence why he wasn't mentioned in the first movie or he wasn't present in the family pictures. But why? I'm going to say Mrs. Afton, who of course would have been Michael and Vanessa's mother and William's wife. She did not support child abuse at all and was supportive of William's treatment of his son, and so decided to divorce William. She has his son, but Vanessa was left in William's custody. To explain why, Vanessa and William are related in, the pictures, which has a massive child versus outcast, has child dynamic. The favorite child versus the outcast child dynamic. And of course, if Michael is the primary target of William's abuse, his decision to kill his father is just full blown rage. This could explain why he wouldn't be satisfied with the Springlocks doing the work. He just wants his blood on his own hands. It can even show where Michael was during the first two movies. If his mother took him far away to protect him, his return in the third movie feels like a reckoning of his plans. And it's catharsis when he kills his father. What is that, you may ask? I'm going to research it. If any of you don't know what that means, it means the process of releasing and thereby providing relief from strong or repressed emotions. Basically, he just lets his emotions out when killing his father. That kind of does remind me of my decision to have Jason Todd kill the Joker, and what if the DCU never shifted away from Zack Snyder's original vision, which led to him becoming the new Joker. And speaking of that, basically, I think Michael will become the next villain after killing his father. And of course, this means a ton of things. You have a perfect passing of the torch. William is the past. He is dead at last, but his legacy survives. Michael becomes the new purple guy, setting up more movies possibly based on the newer games. And Mike, he won the battle, but the nightmare is just changing shape. And here's how I think they could go forward with the storyline. The beginning could show like a younger Michael and how he was treated by his father. And then the present day, you have Michael hunting William through the halls of Fazbear's Night. And then during the climax, William tries to manipulate his son one last time, like the whole "I did it for us" speech. And then, of course, Michael kills his father. And then, of course, he sets the pizzeria ablaze, and then he is caught by the cops. And since the first two movies had like a 2 year time gap, the first movie was set in 2000, and the second film was set in 2002. I think FNAF 3 can take place in 2004, which would mean in our present day it's been 21 years since the permanent death of William. And of course, since the first two movies have like secret teasers to future movies, why not do the same thing here? Since I've heard somewhere that there are plans to just make more movies. Like, not try to make it like Toy Story or anything like that. but for more films to make a franchise. One that wouldn't last as long as the games for obvious reasons, but just make more films to create an expanded franchise. I'm gonna say the movie will have an after credits scene. Essentially, if you were to set Michael up as the new villain of the franchise going forward, basically he's turning the Springtrap mask into a crown, a mantle. In the games, I know it's a cage, but here it's more of a mantle. And so Michael would put the mask on. It would show that he isn't just William's son, he's his successor. And it would also show that I've seen many argue about Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker's ending, how, from a certain point of view, Palpatine won because the Skywalker family no longer exists. You know, I actually have that with, Miraculous Sladebug and how Season 5 ended, because I think from a point of view, Hawk Moth won. Because guess what? If you haven't seen Season 5 Miraculous Sladebug, he brought his wife back at the cost of his life. That was a horrible ending. It was just as bad as Rise of Skywalker's ending. I really wish Rey had died instead of Kylo Ren. But back on topic. I was getting a little off topic, by the way. It would mean that from a certain point of view, William won because he didn't just raise a son, he created a replacement. And his legacy will live on. And of course, when Michael is like in a jail cell, I could picture him speaking the final words. Sorry, it's just getting a little blurry. Never mind. Whoops. I'm gonna say the final words of the movie would be, "You always told me I was just like you, Father. I'm starting to think you were right." Of course, he then puts the mask on, and the mechanical clicking happens. And then, here's what I personally would hope happens at the end credits. They start to play "It's Time to Die" by DA Games. Like, that's my personal hope. I just hope they at least include the song. Because it's not that I don't like the Living Tombstone songs. Trust me, I don't hate those songs. It's just, I want some diversity with the songs at the end credits. And It's Time to Die is arguably the most iconic song from the third game. And the first movie proved that Blumhouse and Scott Cawthon, who created the franchise, are willing to license the community's biggest songs for the credits. And the lyrics, like, 30 years since all this happened. Let's ignore that lyric. But a horror ride built just for me fits the passing the torch thing I brought up. What else? But the lyric "I'm the hand that takes her away" would hit a lot, because that meant Michael was the hand that took his father's life away. But now the question is, how would Vanessa react to this? Obviously, she'd be horrified to know that Michael's becoming more like his father. Essentially, she would try to stop Michael from killing their father, but obviously she's too late because unconsciousness or something like that. And so she's kind of like forced to watch her brother kill their father. And she tries to deal with the fact that her father's influence has turned Michael into, you know, the next purple guy. Now, I could be wrong about Michael killing their father. Vanessa could do it. I wouldn't be surprised because her whole arc would be about her escaping her father. It always has been. She could basically be the one to kill her father, but not become his successor, you know? It would basically bring her storyline from the first two movies to its conclusion, where she not only escapes him, but escapes him forever. But if it were Michael, it would shift from escaping her father to failing her brother. And of course, she can act as a reluctant mentor to the newer protagonist. And I think later movies can shift away from the early to mid 2000s setting to a more late 2000s to early 2010s setting. I don't know. I could be wrong on a lot of these things. I could even be wrong about one of the Afton children killing their father. Maybe it's Mike that kills William, which would make sense because that would be him avenging his brother's death. But would it surprise me if it's the new animatronics, or all the animatronics this time around? No. It does bring a full circle moment. But in terms of the animatronics, the Phantom animatronics could be the toy animatronics from the second movie. Like, maybe they become more, start to deteriorate and they become the animatronics, the Phantom animatronics. Since, the animatronics from the first movie are just gone. But if the Wither animatronics do become the Phantom animatronics, I'm not surprised nor am I angry. But with Michael, he's motivated by revenge and his stolen legacy. But I could be wrong on a lot of these things. Maybe it is going to be a trilogy, and maybe they're not going to go with the whole, yeah, Michael's going to become the next villain. He puts on the mask to signify he's the new villain going forward. He could just remain in jail. I have no idea yet, because we haven't got any details about FNAF 3 yet. But it's been widely rumored that filming could begin in mid 2026 for a potential late 2027 release. Personally, I don't think it'll come out in late 2027 because here's what I'm just going to say. I think FNAF 3 will come out in February 2027 because the first movie came out in October of 2023, and the second film came out this month, December 2025, 2 years and 2 months after the first movie. And so the third movie can come out not only 2 years after the second film, but 2 months, February 2027. But anyways, to close out this video, I'll be playing It's Time to
As a
Die
detective, I've
by
solved many mysteries,
DA
but this one
Games
has me
for all
stumped.
of you to
Why does
listen to.
NJM Insurance remain silent in a world full of catchy jingles?
I really hate
It's
ads.
suspicious,
I
yet their
really
policyholders all agree.
do.
NJM is amazing. When
But
things
hey,
go wrong, they do what's right.
the best
But
part
is the world
is,
ready for an ad break that's
you know where you can
jingle
listen to
free? Tune
songs
into
other than
Baffling
Spotify and
Mysteries,
YouTube?
where the story of the
Yes,
missing jingle
SoundCloud.
unfolds.
And that's where I'm going to
This
play the
fictional
song right
podcast
now.
is brought to you by NJM. No
5,
jingles or mascots,
4,
just great insurance.
3,
Insurance
2,
underwritten by NJM Insurance Company and its
1.
subsidiaries.